Storybook Brawl was nice enough to send me some dust codes, so I'm doing another giveaway. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win. What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, as you might be able to tell on my screen, but I, over the weekend, competed in the Storybook Brawl cover-to-cover community charity tournament number 2, and the game that I played, they actually decided to feature me and follow along my perspective. So there is already some commentary on this game from Horse Thief and Ukemouth here, and I'm not sure that I will have too much to add, but it was a pretty fun game, so I figured I would showcase that for you and we can see how we do. If you want to watch the full live stream, I will have a link for the VOD to that, which is on the official Storybook Brawl YouTube channel. You can find that in the video description, and I'll also leave more information there about their Discord if you want to find out how you can participate or watch this live stream in the future. But let's get into the game.
We're back.
And
they should
let's
be
hear what these guys
up.
have to
Let's
say.
Spectate NoLucksGiven.
That's me.
And we'll get right into it.
So I'm not sure exactly how this is going to go, if I should be pausing them more,
oh yeah, they're firing. They already got a
just kind of talking over them.
Just get that going
Hopefully,
real quick.
That's not too confusing for you
I'm gonna
guys.
take us over to the spectate scene.
But here we go.
Well, I'm
and
gonna give some spoilers here. For better or worse, our first game is going to be spectating Wonder Waddle, which I think is a super strong hero. So hopefully this is going to be a fun one to watch.
yeah, I didn't really have any other options for heroes to pick. It was Wonder Waddle, and basically that was it.
On Wonder Waddle,
and an
like
interesting turn one shop with no animals.
I don't see an animal.
No animals, but roll the dice is pretty interesting. It looks like that is going to be the selection. And Crafty is very good on this hero because when you only need 2 copies of the level 2 and level 3 animals, you often can get treasures pretty quickly. And then Crafty just gets bigger and bigger, and through the early game and the early part of the mid game can be pretty strong. Now you just need some animals next turn, hopefully.
Oh, and I see Duck South keeps popping up
maybe I should just
in lobby.
That's to like hover this or something. That'll be the interesting way to look at it. Kind of making up the coverage for this on the fly.
The ports, not animals.
One each of every flavor.
However, the baby root can turn into an animal when you play that spell on it, and it in fact does. And it's a pretty good one. It's an animal that also potentially gives you extra gold if it slays. So
I thought that was a pretty smart play, a way to find an animal in an animal list shop. I was going to say on the first turn, the roll the die hitting anything there, I think is pretty good. That's why it was a good roll the die, but definitely fine with the crafty because you do get those early treasures, and this kitty cut purse is going to slay.
Difficult to miss on animals when you're playing Pied Piper,
even though we do take some damage.
So what we got?
Well,
we got a pretty good window here. I'm looking at lots of potential gold. Now this is an interesting decision.
Yeah, so it's an amazing shop. Even a playable spell. You got the slay last turn, so you have the extra gold. So those were
a lot of really interesting decisions there, especially because all 3 of those treasures were quite strong in terms of tempo. Maybe I should have taken a treasure and sold off the crafty and elected to actually play with like the Jack's jumping beans or something. I could have sold the crafty, bought 2 of the goats. I did like the idea of casting the spell on the kitty cut purse. It's awkward. I would have rather taken one of those treasures in the second position just to remain strong, but I do like runestones on Wonder Waddle as a means to hunt for tier 3 treasures.
Skip's puzzle rune on level 2. I like
it is. It does make it worse to find Skip's puzzle rune. That's true.
We'll see if that ever comes up.
I really like what Luck's done there with the skip decision. It's sometimes something that's very easy to overlook, but often just being able to pick up something extra, squeeze a little bit more gold out of your gold, if you know what I'm saying, in these early stages, can give you a lot of mileage.
Yeah, I think you need to recognize that there are actually 4 options when you're selecting a treasure, even in the early game, and sometimes more so in the early game. Even if the treasures are okay, sometimes 2 gold in a specific turn is as valuable or maybe more valuable than what those treasures are going to do for you. So clearly locking for the prize pig here. Picked up a crafty pair. Got a full board. If this kitty cut purse slays again, For instance, this turn, the extra 2 gold seem to come in handy. If it slays again this turn, then you'll have 8 gold next turn, which would obviously be amazing.
The other thing that kind of I'm still kind of, I'm stuck back on that initial treasure selection just because for some reason,
really
my mind went straight to Dark Contract
I also
and
think
saw
they
those
kind
two
of
gruffs and
over,
that's going to be a lot of power. But when you're playing Waddle, you want 3-cost animals, and none of those are evil.
That's a great point.
So
as far as,
it's kind of easy to...
I had not thought about that, but that was a great point that Horse Thief makes there. When you're playing Wonder Waddle, on stage 3, you want to pick up donkeys and stags. So you're not really going to get... So we get the sleigh there, but do take some damage. So still emoting. I think that that's a great additional reason to skip. Now you could pick up like the what we're gonna hear.
It'll be a level 3 treasure.
It's funny how this is going faster despite not being sped up.
I would sell the chicken, take the crafty, and play the spell.
And that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell the chicken, take the crafty, take the spell. But interestingly, I think there was more of a decision last turn. And I don't think that this is a real decision here either. Haunted Helm is just good stats on the board and definitely worth taking. And then we'll fire off the Genie's Wish, backline the pig. Interestingly, I think last turn, there was actually a pretty big decision point. I immediately took the crafty in the shop. Maybe I didn't want to. I had 4 gold. I take the crafty and the Wizard's Familiar. Again, another play there. Sell the crafty, buy the Wizard's Familiar and the pig, and the other thing. Now, obviously, crafty, pretty good for us. It's the only creature with stats that we're actually fielding right now, so pretty good. But there could have been ways to hunt for Hatball more aggressively and not waste 6 gold on dwarves throughout this game.
You need to get into that. You don't have to force it. Don't tunnel vision.
Oops.
Okay, we see a donkey on the opponent's board.
The donkey's somehow big enough with both of
that
those
bad of an outcome
that it's able to survive. But I
gotta imagine that donkey is probably pretty punishing for anybody who is not currently Wonder Waddle with a Haunted Helm crafty.
Yeah, we're huge right now with this.
Okay, there's a level 3 animal. Are you still looking at level 2 animals here, Horse? There's a black cat, and I mentioned Puzzle Rune. For you personally, would you still be looking for level 2?
I think it's too hard to hunt for those level 2 treasures.
I would certainly consider the the Wizard's Familiar triple. I don't know if I would start picking up level 2 animals just to make a Puzzle Rune at this spot. So now, we just saw the Fallen Angel a couple of fights ago running the Queen of Hearts. When I'm at level 3, I got a couple of thoughts I'm thinking. I'm expecting to see by about this stage, by about 3.2, opponents having possibly multiple upgraded units, possibly multiple 10-10 sized units on the board. So I'm kind of thinking about what is it going to take for me to battle through those kinds of numbers. And so I want to be leading my board somewhere into something that can combat that.
So this turn's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Hovering Merlin's Hat. I think you take Hat here, especially on this hero. If nothing else, it's good economy, but you do have reasonable access to get into Crystal Ball still.
Just
the awkward thing for this turn
to
is you have Haunted Helm. So when you have 6 characters, a lot of
there.
times you want to just run 3 things in the front row and have the Stag in slot 2 attacking first. But in this case, you also still want something in slot 1. So the Stag's still going to be in slot 2, even with 6 characters.
Yeah,
a little awkward, but still a fairly strong board.
Yeah,
and you've got one
that we're
piece
still good
to,
right now.
Potentially what the goal is here in this game, which
just
is
have to
again
battle
getting
through this
into
whiz, and we can, and then we get the sleigh with the kitty cup
trading
purse.
in
and
allowing the crafty to
we get our prize
trade
pig to survive.
Wizard's Familiar is
pretty,
big for
pretty
NoLucks
fantastic turn.
because keeping that pig alive
plus
is
6 gold.
Pretty spicy going into this turn, and
on
right away
14 gold. Yeah,
we see a vulture. What do you think about that vulture? Oh, Luck's not interested.
Yeah, it's fine, right? But I think it doesn't fit NoLuck's game plan. It's good tempo, but do you need the tempo? You're healthy and you have so much gold this turn. I think you can be
very
picky.
strong.
Looks like NoLucksGiven is indeed going to be a bit picky. We don't yet know exactly what it's going to look like as far as what we're going to be buying here. But there is another prize pig, a level 3 animal. If you want to continue down the path to try to get the hat ball, it looks like NoLucksGiven does indeed want to do that. Also, yes, Keith, please shout out your new guide. Thank you for doing that.
So I think that I'm definitely playing this greedy right now, though I think that ultimately this greed will be justified because we are able to find another treasure this turn, play the prized pig. But you'll see with this combat, I am actually pretty strong right now for this stage of the game. Just picking up the 6 of Shields, I would have rather taken a Forking Rod or something. That would have been insane. We would have had a double Genie's Wish cast there. That could have been really good. But despite all of that, I think that we're still really strong right now, just on the basis of this 1831. That is quite a unit, and that's really going to carry me in this fight. So using that lead to greed is something that I've talked about a lot before, and it means that we can get away with a lot. We're actually going to get a kill onto Jeebus here, kind of unfortunate for Jeebus. We don't get the slay with the Kitty Cup Purse, which is actually a little bit annoying, but we get all the bonus gold from the prized pigs. But have to be feeling pretty good about that, and definitely justifying my decision to roll for Hatball a little bit more aggressively, as Yukemouth is pointing out, and something that I've pointed out before when I've played Wonder Waddle.
You got to be hitting ideally one of those level 5 tempo treasures early, right? On it's kind of Horde Dragon's thing, is getting a big tempo treasure as your stabilization mechanic through the mid game. And Wonder Waddle, when you haven't hit that, is the last hero you want to bump into.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Well, Jeebus is an amazing player. There's no question about that. But I think he ran into the wrong opponent at the wrong time. Oh, yeah. Not only is NoLucksGiven strong, all of the golden characters lead to large amounts of damage, and that's just something Jeebus didn't have the health to survive. So now picking up experience, so maybe not hunting for Hatball as much right now. Doesn't mean you would not make some attempt to still get into it, because it's that strong. But taking some experience, if you win this fight, you get 1 extra experience, and picks up a Court Wizard, which it doesn't necessarily look like it fits perfectly now.
But my camera's
frozen. It's a strong range character if you can you know, build into it a little bit more going forward.
Yeah, that is an interesting looking pickup on a board with no royals on it right now, right?
Sorry, I did not realize that my camera was frozen, paying attention to everything that they're saying as well. But I thought that this was a really cool play that I think they didn't really see the upside in exactly. But as soon as I pick up the Wish Upon a Star, I immediately pick up 2 4-cost units, and I'm going to pick up another one here in this monster book. And the reason beyond that is now I actually want to win the combat. Before, I didn't really care about winning the combats, just wanted to keep my health total as high as possible. Maximize gold gains from prized pig and kitty cup purse does generally mean that I want to win the combats because I want to keep the prized pigs alive. But now I really have another side incentive in terms of trying to win on these combats. Now, I could potentially be using gold just to roll for 3-cost animals before I rank up, and that's not the worst play in the world either. But I've taken 2 shots at the crystal ball, haven't found it. I'm still going to potentially take 2 more with the stag and the prized pig, but I'm not going to force it. And potentially some other comps will open up when I'm up in experience over the rest of the lobby.
This Court Wizard doesn't have anything to trigger it, but just throwing some kind of range behind the stag here. Right now, NoLucksGiven is slightly ahead in terms of stats. That 6 of Shields, though, is only going to be good against boards for so long. So eventually you're going to bump into something that's got plenty of attack to start one-shotting things, and then all of a sudden your 6 of Shields not looking as spicy, but this Angry's doing some work.
Really interesting interaction that actually happens 3 times throughout this game. When you use a spell like Earthquake or Falling Stars or Ring of Meteor, it hits units in the attacking order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When this happens, if there is a unit that would die, typically you're going to see this happen with dwarves, but there's probably some other weird interactions that it can come up with, like, no, that doesn't really make any sense. Okay, we'll say dwarves. It's relevant with Creeper as well, but if there's a dwarf that you could kill and then Angry takes damage, Angry will pump that other dwarf before the Earthquake is able to finish it off. And it's just funny because it comes up at about, I think in 3 or 4 combats throughout this video. We'll notice Horse Thief will point it out next time it comes up.
Yeah, that's not the spell you want when your opponent has an Angry. The Earthquake actually, especially when your opponent has a golden triply. So that Angry just getting lots of value against that spell and this comp in general. But we talked about the Court Wizard. The Court Wizard is, in fact, the only thing that survives here. And
I think a lot of players want to pick that up, that Court Wizard, but it's a really good pickup to grab with those XP there, I think.
Yeah.
No crystal ball.
You kind of don't mind. You don't want to give up your pig gold, but if it wins you the fight, you're kind of okay with that. But now, no crystal ball. We still have a stag, but you hit a certain point this stage of the game where we're already in level 5 now. Starts to get a little late to be thinking crystal ball. I start thinking treasure map. What do you start thinking?
I have hat. I don't think it is ever too late to look for crystal ball when you already have hat. There are some instances where you don't want hat.
With you, there. The other thing is Court Wizard is a mage.
You have a golden familiar. And,
so that's kind of interesting, and you can
potentially get into crystal ball
familiars
cheap, right? Just cost
so much easier
3 gold to say buy 1 more stag to have another shot at it. I would keep going for it. Yeah. But treasure map is also very tempting as you get later in the lobby. So we're going up against an 8 health Pied Piper. Maybe not too concerned, and really hoping that these pigs survive again. And I would say at the start of next turn, if we see experience, it would be tempting to go ahead and go straight to level 6 at this point, because we don't have a build, right?
No.
We have some strong things on board, but, crafty, prize pigs, familiar, there's no real synergy here.
I got to say, Lux has to be a player after my own heart with that pause and stare at that Lancelot TLK shop. I would have had to have given some thought to that shop myself.
Definitely want to consider it. But yeah, Yuka's right that I'll definitely be interested in more XP next turn. The really interesting thing about this game is, like, if I find the crystal ball, then I definitely have a comp, but because I haven't, I really have no comp at all. I just have a bunch of gold, and I'm not sure what we're playing yet, what direction. We're going to let the game dictate that, and here is the XP.
Somewhere on the back line, your Falling Stars won't take out the Echo Wood. Interesting mid-combat just to see that interaction pop up, and here's your XP.
Yeah, that was interesting, and this is why you don't want to underestimate players just because of their health total. I often look at my opponents and try to size up how strong they are. It's hard to do, because look how strong that Piper was at 8 health. They've taken some damage, but they have a strong board. I do like the experience because you found it early enough in the turn. Go straight to level 6 and try to figure it out from here. Now, what is the game plan? Looks like maybe some trees are going to be incoming here.
We do have a bit of a tree starter kit. We don't have the Ashwood yet, so...
I think that's a big thing. Like, if we had found a Hercules or a Jormungand or... probably not a Good Boy. It's probably a little bit tough to build into Good Boy with no other good units. But certainly, like, a Hercules, I think, is the main thing that I'm looking for there. But like Horse Thief said, seeing this kind of trees starter package, as he put it, definitely just makes me want to lock onto this shop, try to find the Ashwood Elm, eventually hope that we can get enough power out of the Crafty, the Wiz, the Monster Books, and the Tree that maybe the Prized Pig can survive too, and we can keep looking for more trees.
Good going forward. They're not extremely strong this turn. So you're down to 19 health after taking a pretty big hit last turn. So if you take any damage this fight, this game goes from looking very promising to a little bit scary. So this is an important fight. It looks like with a big vulture still in the back row, it looks like Sir Strat might be ahead right now.
Yeah, Beauty and Summons. It's an iconic duo. They work really well together, turning everything good. You can play your vultures, you can play your queens in the mid game. You can...
It's not bad to
really just kind of take advantage of that. If you get a sarcophagus, you kind of start firing off on all cylinders. But that being said, Lux had a little bit of time that all that early tempo, all those early fight wins led to a situation being pretty healthy heading into 6 here. But now we need to, like you said, we need to find. We need to transition that into.
And I'm really just not finding much in the way of 6s.
And this is an interesting part in the turn. You only have 5 gold left, so you know what you're looking for. But what's the likelihood that you hit it when you only have 5 gold left?
When you're up on
hesitated there in the previous shop. I want to say maybe considering the Grumble Gorge just briefly. It's not really what you're looking for, but it is an upgrade to your board. Opts to roll past it, and exactly what I was talking about. You roll one more time, and there's really not anything in this shop that I would want, but it looks like hovering over the creeper, and I know you probably have an opinion. and something you want to say about the creeper here.
I love a creeper probably more than the next guy. I was gonna say as much as, but it's here, after level 4, not so much roll. Oh, okay. We just need to not take 13 damage here. That is our rolling mission.
And finally,
look at this shot.
Okay,
this is really good.
Okay, so how do you even play this? You obviously want the Ashwood, you want the Echo, you want the Monster Book triple, but how does the gold work out? Do you take the Monster Book triple and just commit to skipping the treasure? That's one potential option. Oh, wow. The shrivel from the Monster Book hitting the Queen of Hearts was massive.
That was the
Zephyr Sage.
Filthiest shrivel this fight. Oh.
Wow.
But.
And again, from these golden characters, this is going to be a lot of damage. Not enough to deal lethal. And Zephyr Sage does have treasure map, but NoLucksGiven, not worried about that right now. Just worried about how to spend the gold this turn to be most effective. It's going to be a great turn regardless.
So sometimes when I'm in this spot and I'm starting to pick up these trees and I have, this finite amount of gold left, I'm looking at these monster books going, I don't want to spend the 4 or, even with the skip, the 2 gold to combine them. But if you buy the 2 trees, what else are you doing with your money? You can buy the monster book skip, sell off the pig, sell off something else, and you'll have the gold to get upgraded monster book with the 2 trees. Is that worth it in your mind, or would you rather just have the 2 gold?
I think it's worth, because a golden monster.
It's a really, really close play, and you'll see, I think on it for a while, Horse and Yukmouth even have a slight disagreement on it. Their Yukmouth is definitely in favor of just picking up the monster book. I would sell off both of these 2 units in my hand. And then skip the treasure, and then still be able to play a full board of 7. I think that there was a part of me that just the pressure gets to me a little bit here, and I'm just unable to fully see that play out. I thought that I might have had to play a unit down and sell off the Wizard's Familiar or something, but I don't know. I think just the high stress of the situation for a game where I could potentially win it right now, like it starts to become real, but also starts to get a little bit scary when you're in that situation too. So definitely a really close call, but I wind up not picking up the monster book, which does now basically have me have 4 more gold right now, because I can sell off all of these units, and as Horse Thief is going to say, that does wind up being useful as well.
Stats. Now 4 gold left. If you can find one more piece to this is already shaping up to be very strong as we get into the top 4. 27 health Beauty, 17 health on Zelhua. We have 13 health and 7 health on the Fates. And there it is. There's one more piece. That's an amazing piece. I think this is going to be tough to beat.
This is where being patient and not combining the monster books pays off. We actually have the chance to... Oh, and this positioning makes sense to me. I know you know me, and I know you know that I am a big proponent of... I will continue to play a Heartwood Elder until somebody beats me and signals to me that I am no longer allowed to continue greedily scaling away. But I just cannot see a Heartwood Elder and not think that thing's got to be behind the Ashwood Elm. And so I'm looking at the positioning, not even thinking, you could just stick the Ashwood Elm in the Helm slot, and you could just leave Robinwood behind it. You don't have to have the Heartwood Elder, but I still kind of want it back there. I
appreciate it.
I would put it behind the Ashwood for sure.
It's a tough decision.
You're at 13 health, so even if you, say, get unlucky by your ranged attacking 1 slot too late, you're strong enough you're probably not going to die here, and I want that scaling.
It's tough. The real question is am I going to die if I lose a combat? And ultimately, I do decide that it's worth it to go for a little bit more scaling. But it's a tough question. It's a really tough question to answer, and I am potentially going to lose this combat opponent with a really large Echo Wood and a Phoenix Feather there.
Falling Stars protecting from that Poison Apple.
Yeah, that's a again, big dwarf board.
Stars.
I thought this was going to be tough to beat, but that's still a lot of stats on the opponent's board. And your Robinwood is only 42 attack. So looks like not dead here, but so close. Are going to take some damage, yeah.
3 health, but there was a Phoenix Feather in play, I'm noticing on that Zell board there.
I'll take it, though. I mean, +2/+2 for 7 damage, not really worth it. But I probably would have taken the 7 damage regardless. The Robin Wood, not quite big enough yet. Another question is, do I want more Robin Woods? Also, do I want a True Love's Kiss? Not really a good target on True Love's
Robin
Kiss.
Wood, which is interesting.
As
it's kind of
interesting.
We've got Zell Dwarves, which is a strat in my mind that will over time lose momentum to a tree board, but gets a little bit more power down a little bit more quickly. So we've got that to contend with. Then we've also got, we know Beauty was running summons last time around. If summons get the right kind of treasures, one of the best parts about trees is they get a lot of HP, but one of the shortcomings of trees is that a lot of them have to touch what they're attacking to attack it, right? You're not often running a lot of range. We do have a Robin Wood on this board, but the fight is a little bit more fair. You don't have things like Medusas often in play. And so enough animal summons can chunk through that entire health pool with the right treasure set. Really curious what people end up finding here toward the end of this game. And now we have to pick up a happy little tree, huh?
We're also going against Beauty, who can have some interesting combinations in the late game with, say, like Good Boys and Pumpkins. And you can throw a pumpkin on a lot of...
I realized at the last second this happy little tree was a mistake. I should have just kept in the Wizard's Familiar. It just winds up being so much bigger than the happy little tree, and a definite mistake because the Wizard's Familiar could have taken that 8, no problem. Happy little tree. I should have just rolled 2 more times. So wasted 2 gold there, but small mistakes definitely add up in this game, especially when you're playing in lobbies with really respectable players that know exactly what they are trying to do.
Yeah, with a quick scan, I don't think I'm seeing quite enough to get through both of these echoes, but it's not going to be a knockout.
Down to 2.
Nope, still more chances for Sir Strat. And look at this lobby now. We have players on 6 health, 2 health, and 1 health.
1 health.
And then the Zelhua looking pretty comfortable at 17, I suppose. But still fighting for these extra placements. Fighting out to try to see who can, I'm going to assume, face Zelhua in the finals.
I think
that's yet to be determined. Another Robin Wood. So we might be at the stage where the Elder is kind of... you know, on its way out, let's say.
I definitely agree with that.
We certainly are, but Robin Wood was not the main tree I was hoping to hit this turn. But we're also playing a Wizard's Familiar, so do we have the luxury to be picky here?
That's right. And so something that happened last turn is we combined the Burning Tree, but we didn't have anything else in hand that we necessarily wanted to throw down in that spot. So that can be kind of tough when you're playing trees. I want that spell.
I do too.
I want that spell. I think we have to play it.
I am going to take this spell.
I'm going to say that you probably sell the Familiar and play the Elder one more turn. Play that spell on the Ashwood. I think that's my line here.
Definitely would have been
NoLux
greedy.
Is just going to sell the Elder.
That one
play
definitely
the
would have been greedy. They're
it's
very
still,
much a fan of the
worth
Elder.
going
I
for the
have to
spell
cut it at
regardless.
this point.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision, Familiar versus Elder. I like the Elder too. However, Familiar actually has some HP. Elder's only going to have, what?
Yeah.
Was it 5? Was it 8?
Now, HP at this point in the game doesn't really matter.
We see where a lot of the trees have gone, and this is one of those situations where I tend to think the player with the most Ashwood Elms wins the Battle of the Trees, and Ribbit has the most Ashwoods.
Let's not overlook the front row River Wish Mermaid.
Yeah. Was that
it was huge.
120, 120? Something roughly?
And unfortunately, that is the end of my
GG to
run.
NoLucksGiven. I guess we'll switch over and watch Ribbit now.
Really fun start. I might let the rest of the game play out here. You can also, like I said, watch the full coverage of, I think there was 4 games throughout the live stream. This was the first one. And yeah, really fun experience. 3rd place, not the worst place in the world, of course. But my start was so good, I just didn't really put anything together quickly enough because I never found that crystal ball. I think that if I had taken the Vulture on 4.0, that would have given me a lot more strength, which could have translated into some flexibility and is potentially what I should have gone with ultimately. And was a little bit short of putting together a strong endgame comp ultimately, and as it turns out, that was because someone else had taken all of the Ashwood Elms and was crystal ball forking over here. I have to imagine that this player, who I believe is Sir Strat, right? I can't remember if this is Sir Strat or if Sir Strat was the other opponent here, but I think that they had an Aeon at one point. I think we even faced off against them while they had an Aeon. So they were full Hatball fork library carding for a while there. No, I'm sorry, this is Ribbit. But they were full Hatball forking and then probably transitioned into trees after sending an Ashwood Elm or sending something all the way up the chain and that turning into an Ashwood Elm. So I believe that is what we saw here, that they found an upgraded Ashwood Elm off of True Love's Kiss and then managed to change some things around with that. And we're going to see that they are able to deal some damage to the Zelhua Dwarves player. They don't have a tracker up, but definitely at least a little bit lucky to be able to take out the upgraded Echowood with their Medusa. That is pretty big. This is a cool play too, to just buy Kitty Cut Purse and then feed it to the Kraken, so that way they can get a few extra gold this turn, and then they are going to Mix-a-Wizzle the Wizard's Familiar. That's what I assumed the River Wish Mermaid was as well, that was a Wizard's Familiar turned River Wish Mermaid. So now that is going to be a Hippo. They'll throw a few extra stats onto the Ashwood Elm here, and then find another tree. Kind of an interesting way to end off the turn. And I would have definitely been tempted for this Sugar and Spice right now, and it looks like they were tempted as well, but they're ultimately, with the Great Library card, just going to throw in one more roll and look for Pigomorph before the turn ends, or potentially another combat spell, and they're not going to find it.
Now, let's see how this White RNG goes. I still think this Medusa could be pretty important, especially when we know our opponent has Phoenix Feather.
This is a very interesting positioning conundrum from the Zelhua side of the board, because often you probably want to move your Echo-Woods up front to trade through one or two trees effectively, but they are two apple trees now.
Doesn't matter. This is going to be the last fight of the game here.
It's tough. There are some mind games that come along
units in the background. It's really tough to get a tie.
You take whatever information you have, and does put one of the Echoes in the front, and it does not attack into these apple trees.
The Echo not hitting either of those apple trees is quite huge.
Yeah, that Echo would just 2-for-1. Incredible.
Yeah. And then Medusa gets taken out.
This one's not actually close. The Medusa can't attack into the back row, and that Echo still has 899 health and a Phoenix Feather resummon of itself. So GG. GG.
So GG to Duke South, or Duck South, however you pronounce your name, and great job by the coverage team. I always really love coverage from Ukemouth. Did the coverage of the Storybook Brawl, the league thing that I did a few months ago. I don't even remember the name of that at this point. The Questing League, the Brave Princess division of the Questing League that we did. And I think Ukemouth has done a great job with that. And then Horse Thief as well, both here and on live coverage. So you can catch those guys on the Storybook Brawl Twitch channel. This is all posted onto the Storybook Brawl YouTube channel, and I'll leave links to their individual channels as well, Ukemouth and Horse Thief, as well as you know, like upcoming future tournaments. They typically have these guys do some coverage, and let the coverage know if you want to see some NoLucksGiven in the booth as well. But that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace. Here's the details for my giveaway this week. Just leave a comment below on any of my videos that includes the word treasure. New week, new code word. The reason that I say to include the word, that way I can differentiate between the people just leaving a comment and those that are actually interested in the dust, to make sure that it goes to a person that will appreciate it. And there's no limit to how many times you can enter. You can go back and comment on some of my previous videos. I've been uploading daily Storybook Brawl videos for the past 7 or 8 months at this point, so I'm sure there is some sweet content that you have yet to see. And yeah, you can enter multiple times. I will do a new code next week. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that if a bunch of people enter, I will give away more codes. So that's just going to be limited by how many people are entering and how many people are commenting. Let's get this channel to over 1,000. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.